Okay, so today I'm going to show you how to draw the structure of the heart. So this here is the structure of the heart. It looks really complicated to draw, but I'm going to show you a really easy way to actually draw it. So the first thing you do, it's actually quite difficult now with one hand, is you draw your average love heart. Okay, maybe just round it off there instead of having a point. And then what you're going to do, you're going to draw a line down the middle. And then you're going to rub out two pieces here. And you're going to draw in your blood vessels. So this is your aorta and this is your pulmonary artery. And remember again, our arteries take blood away from the heart, so this is where they're going to go out of the heart. So now that we have that done, we're going to draw in our pulmonary vein, which is on the right hand side, or left hand side, sorry, right hand side as we're looking at it. Remember, this is a person who's facing me, so my right side is their left side. And then we're going to draw in our vena cava. And our pulmonary vein and our vena cava, they're both veins, so they're going to bring the blood to the heart. Okay, so that's kind of roughly what we have at the moment. Our left side of the heart has a thicker wall than the right hand side, and that is because it is pumping blood that's rich in oxygen, so it's under a lot more pressure. So we're just going to shade in. I'm going to make this a little thicker the whole way up. And now we're going to make You will never be asked to draw this in your junior cert. However, I think it is really important that you do know how to draw it, primarily because if you can draw it and label it, then you've no fear of actually just being able to label it. So at least this will help you with being able to show the direction of the blood and show the left and right hand sides and all the diagrams. Okay, so we're just bringing down our two things there, and then we are going to section off our heart into the different chambers. So if you watched my last video, you will know that each our hearts have 4 chambers. So they have 2 at the top and 2 at the bottom, so 2 left, 2 right. So the ones on top are called our atrium. So I'm just going to draw in our left atrium here, and I'm kind of drawing it in this kind of V shape. Okay. I'm going to draw that there. And I'll explain all about these now in a second. And I'm going to literally do the exact same at the other side, on my right hand side, to section off my right atrium from my right ventricle. And I'm going to draw in these. Okay, so that is kind of it really then with drawing the heart. And the next thing we need to do now is a label. So you can make the walls a little thicker the whole way around, so it's not, because obviously our heart isn't just a really skinny, thin thing. And sure, look, if we do nothing else today, haven't you done a bit of art as well? Because my art skills are so good here. Okay, so we are going to now label different things. So like I said, the first part that it comes through is our vein. So remember, our vein brings blood to the heart. So this blood vessel is our vena cava. Our vena cava, the blood comes through the vena cava and into our right atrium. Okay, it's going to go through the valve. So this here is a valve. And I mentioned valves in my last video. Valves prevent the backflow of blood. So once the heart clenches together, it's pushing the blood down into the right ventricle. And once it's in the right ventricle, when the heart pumps again or squeezes again, we don't want the blood to come back up here. So that's what the valves prevent. They prevent this backflow of blood. So our heart now, or our blood is now in the right ventricle, and it's going to go up here through the pulmonary artery. Okay, and again we have our valves here. And that is preventing the backflow of blood from once the blood goes into the pulmonary artery. It's preventing the backflow of blood into the right ventricle. So just to, I suppose, put in a little direction of blood, we're going to use the blue pen. Now blue is going to represent blood that is oxygen poor. Okay, so it's not deoxygenated. It doesn't contain no oxygen. It's just low in oxygen. Okay, so low oxygen blood come into our heart from all around the body. So the blood vessels are carrying it all around the body and then into the heart through the vena cava. It's then going to come into our right atrium, and it's going to come down into our right ventricle. Once it compresses again, it's going to go up. I'm going to go over this in blue, into our pulmonary artery and out into the lungs. So where this is going is it's going to the lungs. And it came from the body. And just a little hint, pulmonary is associated with the lungs. So that is how we know that the pulmonary artery is bringing the blood to the lungs. So now we're going to look at the left-hand side. So if we know that the pulmonary artery brought the blood to the lungs, what brings oxygen-rich blood back from the heart, or from the lungs, sorry. So from the lungs, we have our pulmonary vein. Remember, pulmonary is associated with the lungs, and the veins bring blood to the heart. Okay, so that is really important that we know that. So the blood is going to come in through the pulmonary vein from the lungs, and it's going in here to our left atrium. Again, it's going to push through these valves into our left ventricle. And then it's going to push up through the valves here. So these are also valves. And it's going to go into our aorta. Aorta. And our aorta is another type of artery, and it's bringing blood from the lungs all the way into the heart and to the rest of the body. Okay, so I'm just going to show you the direction of blood flow using, I might actually use purple. So I'm going to use the purple pen just because the labels are all red. So this is going to represent our oxygen-rich blood. So remember, it's rich in oxygen because it's after coming from the lungs. So from the lungs, and it's coming in here through the pulmonary vein. It's going into our left atrium, down through the valves into our left ventricle, up through the valves of our aorta, and then it's going on to the rest of the body. And there's only one last thing that we have to label. So what is dividing the left-hand side and the right-hand side is this wall, and the wall of our heart is called the septum. And remember, I also spoke about how the heart has specific muscle and it can only be found in the heart, and it just makes sure that the heart stays pumping all day long, and that is our cardiac muscle. So all the lining of the heart is made from cardiac muscle. And that is the story of our heart and the blood flow through the heart.